camera. It came with I think B22 Omega enlarger I bought. Yeah, that was a good deal. What are you laughing about?
The fact that I dropped my freaking phone like
Yes.
5 times.
Again?
Get your shit right. We're gonna
Well,
cut this.
I guess for the next episode, you'll have a proper phone mount, hopefully.
We're gonna cut this off because that's
Well,
Johnny, la gente está muy loca. Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day to everyone. My name is Sebastian. This is Sebastian from Johnny, Sebastian, and Louis Photography podcast.
I thought the name of it was Just Shoot and Learn.
So let's hit it. Let's see what we got. We're getting together to have a little bit of a conversation on photography, on topics really related to that, and we're going to expand on many other things. I don't know if Johnny, you want to lead us a little bit more, or let's present ourselves. JSL.
Well, hey, how's it going, guys? My name's Johnny. I've been hanging out with these guys for about a decade now. I've gotten into photography back when I was
15 years, Johnny. 15 years.
That's how long we've known each other?
13, 14, maybe.
Yeah, at least. Yeah. Well, our trip was back in 2012, right? Yeah. So in any case, I started doing photography back in '02 when I first got my first serious camera, and it just trickled on from there. And slowly and steadily, I got more and more involved into the hobby to the point where eventually I met these guys in college. So, yeah, that's pretty much that when it comes to how or where we met, at least. So. Yeah, the reason why I'm more into the film stuff than anything is just because I don't know jack all about Photoshop and I'd rather not learn. So that's the reason why. So
we got Luis. Who are you, Luis?
I am just a photographer. I can't say that I have I like to call myself a specific type of photographer because I kind of shoot a little bit of everything. Portraits, landscapes, travel photography, weddings. I mean, anything. I'm a big fan of documentary photography as well. So, I'm kind of I pretty much shoot a little bit of everything, but at the end of the day, I mean, anything that I shoot, it just has to come from, the passion that I have for photography. So that's kind of who I am. And, you guys are my friends. We've been friends for 13, 14 years. It's been quite a few, and we're all gonna bring our different talents and experiences to this
and
podcast.
Stories. That's for sure.
And stories. And we have a lot of stories, especially Sebastian has plenty of stories.
No, please don't. No, we all together have stories. Then let's not point fingers here.
So this will be a pretty entertaining podcast. We're not gonna make it it's not gonna be something that's like very specific, but we're just gonna bring ideas and our knowledge to the podcast, and yeah, I think it's going to be fun.
Great.
who the hell, Sebastian?
Who is Sebastian? Let's see. Sebastian, I am obviously your friend. We have been friends for many years, as Louis said. I love the I guess the philosophical portion, creative part of the art of photography. I believe very much on on the voice that photography gives, as people, as individuals, but also the voice that we get as artists, and the ideas how we work and how we solve it with that the medium that we have chosen, or that we choose at the time. We can choose many mediums, whether it's just photography, painting, drawing, woodworking, just anything metal like I'm involved with, and or just your daily life, even being I don't know, a finance person, and then from time to time nowadays just using your phone and taking snapshots. That, in a sense or in a way, is documentary photography. With that, and you don't see it that way, but you're documenting your life. So I that's who I am. I like to see that in
Dude,
in what
what
we
happened
do.
to naked pictures?
Yeah, I think the naked picture reference comes from what like my biggest a personal project that it's there, which is the naked portraits that I've taken over the years, of close people, and then later on of people that I didn't know or I barely knew, but it opened up, and that's what it is. Nakedness. It's one of the biggest projects that I have, because in reality, being naked, it's being open, just being vulnerable, and that just giving it all to the world, and just
So I'm
it
curious though,
connects. It
did
connects.
this did this start when we were in Chile back 10, 12 years ago? Was that the start of your naked picture project, or did it start before then?
No, definitely was before that.
Oh,
Because
really?
yeah, when I went there, I had already started the
Gotcha.
project, and we'll talk about it, but it's a fun reference that we have. The naked pictures. We're gonna get every member of the audience naked for the portraits. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, way to lose all our
Man,
viewers before we even get them.
we're gonna
Pretty
have an
much
event.
every guest we invite, Sebastian's gonna photograph them naked.
I am gonna try at least for sure. Luis,
Yeah, you
have
you
I
guys are a lot more
have I
philosophical than
photographed
I
you
am.
naked, Luis?
Say that again.
Have you posed naked for me?
No, I've been
Tony, what about you?
Well, you tried to get me back in Chile. The only thing is I was in that Chilean poncho, and I had my boxers on that day, so you didn't actually fully get me naked. If you got the picture, I guess you could insert it later on. But
Got it.
yeah, you never actually got me there. So
But
So that's
Sebastian,
that, so
basically, you
that's
can
what we
say.
yeah. So that's who we are. That's what we do. We are yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say basically you can say you're a modern day Renaissance man. You got pretty much you
I
can do
just
you do
love the
pretty much
Renaissance.
yeah, you pretty much do a little bit of everything, and you're very creative, you're very artistic. There's a million stories we can tell, but I remember walking into your apartment in Queens, New York, you know,
on Gates
uh,
Avenue.
on Gates
Hey,
Avenue,
hey, hey!
Yeah, dude,
Gates,
that's my old
Don't
neighborhood,
give
man. I
don't
remember.
give it out too many details.
Gates, just
Hey, not that we're there anymore, but
walking into your apartment and seeing the light sockets, the painted, that's like, to me, that was like, I've never seen that.
Did you
Um,
feel?
at
Did you
least at
feel
the
like big?
time. There you go.
dude, that's still how I remember him. I still can't believe how old he is now. My God.
He was about that age when
Yeah, when we
Yeah,
when we all met
what he
him.
was like 10 years old, 9 years old at
Yeah,
the time.
that
I think
picture
he's like
he
7 or
was
8, no?
about
Because he's like 18 now.
9, 8, 9, something like that, maybe
Yeah.
less. Yeah,
How old is he now? 21?
20.
Oh, damn. So next year, it sounds like he get his first beer with dad, huh?
Next year he's coming to Vegas.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I guess you guys are a lot fancier than me. I'm just a gearhead compared to you guys. So shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're three friends that, we all have our own style. We all have our own knowledge of photography, and I think we're all going to bring a little bit something different to the table. But at the end of the day, we just put it all together, and that's the main point of doing this podcast, because you is Johnny, you're very technical when it comes to photography. We've asked you so many questions, and you're always coming with the technical part of photography, which is definitely something I lack. I don't really focus on the techniques of not the techniques, but the technical part of photography, and that's why we need you here, and that's why we have you here. So each and every one of us is going to bring something to the table when it comes to this podcast.
So with that being said, as per the list that we have now, we established how we met, but what's the earliest memories that we have of each other? I'm curious. I barely remember you guys until the trip, to be honest with you. So
Good, great question.
Yeah, I mean, well,
I
the
guess,
trip that we're referring to, so I guess, if there is an audience or when we have an audience is back in 2012, we all went to school at LaGuardia Community College in the photo program. I was in commercial photography. You guys were in commercial also, right? Or no?
yes, commercial.
Yeah. So, well, you graduated by the time I met you, I think. Oh no, I think we first met in the history of photo, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And
we had history of photography, and I used to sit behind you, and pretty much you would not let the professor speak because you had a specific question for everything that she said. And that's what that's the first memory I ever have of you.
with the
You know,
Canon cap,
wearing
right?
your Canon cap, and pretty much asking all the technical questions that you could on the history of photography.
I mean, for me, I thought history was like the history of the gear itself, and like that portion of history of photography, not so much, who's the first photographer, the first processes. So that took me by surprise. I thought we to actually talk about the development of the gear and all that stuff. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I got shafted in that class. I thought I was actually gonna be gear oriented class. So now I know.
Sebastian, I remember having I don't know if Sebastian remembers, but I had oral what was it? Oral communication,
For public
oral
speaking, or was it
public
public speaking?
speaking,
Yeah, because I took that class too. So
public speaking with Sebastian, and I remember he the teacher or the professor, she put us together, and I remember Sebastian telling me this joke about chickens. I don't remember the actual joke, but I remember he told the joke and he cracked up.
well, he's laughing at his own joke.
He was
Typical
he was the one
Sebastian.
cracking up. I don't
Typical
know if you
Sebastian.
remember that. Do you remember that? I don't
I'm
think you
trying
do.
to remember the joke right now because it's a
But you
typical.
remember we had that class?
Which class was it?
Public
Public
speaking.
speaking, I guess.
Yeah.
Public speaking. Who was the professor? It was a lady, wasn't
It
it?
was a lady. I can't remember her name, but yeah. But yeah, that was my first memory of Sebastian.
Oh
And
gosh,
Sebastian, you just fell.
back.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my first memory
Johnny,
of.
did we have a class together?
No, we never did. I think the first time I met you was during the orientation for the study abroad trip.
Yeah, I think that's where we actually met. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
and
wait,
then
Luis, wait. How many classes? We only had one class? No, we had. How many classes did we have together, Luis?
No, that was our first class, and I didn't even know you were in photography or art. I think you may have been majoring in something else, and then you switched,
I
if I'm not
did. I was just doing like fine arts.
fine arts.
I was fine
Yeah, and
arts. I
then
went in for fine arts, and that's what I was doing. Because I was pretty much going back to just just do painting, and that was my goal until I took my first class with Terry
Terry was my first.
Gurjon.
Terry
Thierry
Bergeron.
Gurjon. Oh
Yeah.
my God, fantastic
Amazing,
photographer. He really
amazing
hooked me into
professor.
photography. Go ahead.
Amazing professor. He was like military style. I was in the military for a little bit, so he just reminded me of those guys. He would just not, he was not a faker. He would tell you if your stuff sucked, he would tell you. So
Definitely. He will
so
definitely
I'm
not
kind of curious now that we're on that
sugarcoat
topic.
anything. That's for sure. If your stuff sucks, he'll be like, okay, listen, you can pass the class. You're not you're not gonna be a photographer, but yeah,
yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm kind of curious
that's
now that we're
pretty
talking
much that
about.
was for him.
So now that we're talking about that, what actually got you guys into photography? So it sounds like Sebastian for you was taking Terry's class, and that kind of, I guess took you over from fine arts to photography. But what about you, Lewis? What actually got you into photography? I'm curious.
That's an interesting story, but
I don't know if you ever told it to us or not. Honestly, I know I must have asked you before. I just don't remember your story. So
yeah, believe it or not, my dad was actually into photography during the time that I was born. I won't say the year. I don't want to date
you're
myself,
ancient.
but anyway, my dad, we're five kids, and I may actually have the most photos. This is in the 80s, but I may actually have I have an album with like all these photos because my dad was actually into photography at that time. And I was doing finance in New York for a little bit, working for accounting companies and stuff, and um, it just so happened that yeah, it was just one of those things that I just picked up You know, I picked up, and I think I always had some type of like love for photography. And at some point, I just decided that this was something that I wanted to do.
And was there a specific moment or defining moment you remember that you actually picked up the camera and said, "This was it. I want to do this"? Like, do you remember that or not really? Was there actually that moment? It sounds like you just stumbled on it, but do you remember the particular moment that that flipped the light switch, you could say, and to get you to wanna
Yeah.
do it?
Um, I don't know. I think I was a fan of some photographers. I think Steve McCurry is definitely one that I always looked at his photos, and it was somebody that I was just like in awe of his work, completely in awe of his work, of his travels, and for me, it was, I think once I got into it, I think that was I just kind of knew that was the kind of photography that I really wanted to get into. So maybe, just to answer your question, I would say looking at his work is definitely one of the reasons
When it
why
made
I
you
got.
click, right? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, for me, my story was not, I guess you could say, that mind blowing. Like yours, a mind opening, I should say. For me, it was a summer of 2002. I was in Canada. So my story is I'm from a family of three kids, and when after my brother was born, I was born 1 year later. I was born in '90, and I guess my mom needed someone to help her, with the kids because with my brother and me and her trying to work and everything, she got my aunt from Vancouver, Canada, to come over to come help her watch me. And of course, during the time while she took care of me, I got very attached to her. She got attached to me, and eventually she was able to talk my mom into letting me, I guess, go over with them and and stay with them in Canada until I started school. Why that's relevant is because that brings me to my cousin who got me into it. So again, just for preface, so I would always go over to Vancouver every summer for 2 months before coming back to start school in September. So
Yeah.
that was the summer of 2002. I remember my cousin at that time was transitioning. He was asking, because he was shooting Nikon at the time, and he's asking, "Hey, John, what do you think? I think I'm gonna switch over to Canon here." I remember this very, very specifically because I personally liked the looks and the hump at the time of the Nikon F5 that he had, because it was a very distinguished prism, like what an SLR to look like. And he
Hmm.
was looking to transition to the 1V, the Canon 1V, which if you guys pull up the photos in Google or put them together later, post, you'll see that it's very smooth and rounded out, and it's not detachable prism. It's just got smooth lines. So I always thought that the Nikon F5 looked more classic, and I told him, nah, I don't know, I wouldn't switch. I like the looks of that camera more. Despite at the time, the cameras were significantly different. The F5's technology was quite dated compared to the 1V with all its focusing points, et cetera, faster focusing and all that. So despite me trying to talk him against switching, he decided, he's going to give up that system and slowly transition over Canon. Those were the two cameras.
I
So
love
one,
the Nikon F5.
yeah, I like the looks of it, but honestly, after owning the 1V, I can prefer the 1V now. But in any case, so he's a Canon guy, and at that time, of course, this was back in days when we still had brochures for cameras. If anyone remembers that, brochures and catalogs, actual hard copies. I saw this camera that looked really good proportion wise. Like, I just love the looks of it. It was the Canon Rebel 2000. It was silver and black. It had a silver kit lens. I think in the brochure it might have had a black one. In any case, I just kept nagging him. Hey, Al, can you buy this one? Oh, hey, Al, can you buy this morning? And then you'll keep, joking, oh, yeah, it's a real nice camera. And then one day, I think it was 3 days before I had to leave to come back to school here back in Brooklyn or in Queens. He went out and I asked my aunt, hey, where did he go? Because back then I used to sleep in his room. I'd sleep on the sofa and he'd be on the bed, so if I wake up, I didn't see him. So I asked my aunt, hey, where did Al go? And she's like, yeah, I don't know. He just went out. And so I was wondering, and I called him. And he's, yeah, I think he said, yeah, I went out. I'll be right back. Shortly after, when he came back with the whole kit, with the Rebel 2000, the kit lens, and also a 75 to 300 mil lens, as my first starter kit. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into it. 3 days before I left to finish my summer vacation, he got me my first ever camera, which is a Rebel. Well, first ever serious camera, because prior to that, he got me a Canon ELPH, which shot the APS format of film. If you guys want to Google that, that's for people who don't know how to manually load film in to avoid messing up the leaders and stuff. It's just a plug-in cartridge. And then long before that too, I also have a Fisher Price 110 camera, which is also cartridge-based film. which I may actually have one upstairs, so I'll show it to you guys if you don't already look it up. In any case, yeah, so that's how I got into photography. He got me that, and also the film that we started shooting, unlike most people starting on black and white or color negatives, he was a big proponent for shooting color transparency. So the first film I ever shot seriously was Elite Chrome, Kodak Elite Chrome 100, which is long discontinued now. So yeah, back then, back in the film days, they actually had amateur film and professional film. And the key difference is, if not mistaken, the professional quality film was actually aged properly. Because believe it or not, film is kind of like a food that can expire. You know, they have its best age, or when it's aged, to be the finest, and then also when it's I guess not aged properly, or prematurely aged or something. So that was interesting. So I shot the amateur film Elite Chrome 100 until later on I started dabbling with other films such as E100, Provia, and all that. But to cut the story short, that's how I got started. Was back in the summer of 2002 when I was 11, getting my first camera.
You were 11 in 2002?
Yeah, so that goes to show you're an old pro.
All right, listen, guys. We have literally just a few minutes before we cut short this first episode that it's our pilot episode, or like at least our presentation. Johnny, that was freaking fantastic. A fantastic story. I mean, I, I don't want to. I don't want to. I was gonna make a joke, but I said, you know what? Let's keep it a little bit more on the serious side
A
for
bit
now.
more mature, more serious.
We'll open up later. We'll be joking around. I have a few things going on, but I think it was great. I think it's a great introduction. I was paying attention to what you were saying. I was in the middle of just trying to show a picture of
The camera.
sharing a picture of the F5 only because it's one of my favorite cameras
Yeah, I'm still
remember you.
looking
I
at
remember
it.
you had. I
ever.
remember you, Sebastian. I remember you had that camera. Or was it?
Yeah,
Was it
yeah, of
Johnny?
course I did.
No, you had one. Johnny had one too. Or
Well, no,
Johnny
I had an F100. I never had an F5. The only Fs I
F100.
have is a F2, and then I had the F100, and I had an FM. But
I don't know which one it is, the F100 or the F5,
it's the
but
F100 that you like, that you wanted for my collection. It ran on double A's.
gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous camera.
It's a nice camera. I won't lie. I mean, it almost looks like an F6, just without the removable prism. But I remember you wanted that camera when I actually had one a while back. I remember you wanted that for my collection.
Do want to say just because I didn't get a chance, and I'm not gonna go on forever because my story is not that long. I really like my. I don't know if we were talking about like the earliest recollection of photography in your life
Or
or
what got
anything.
you into it, I guess, or the defining moment that you remember that you said,
No, I
flip the
think the
switch.
defining moment was when I was like when I decided that I wanted to be a photographer. It was when I was doing this at the school. I do remember, but it linked back to having a camera, which is one of my. It's hard for me to remember things when I was a little kid, but I do remember having this, and you will know, Johnny. Even though it's my memory, I have no idea what the model of fucking. Excuse my
Yeah,
French.
I don't know if I would
Freaking
know that,
camera
but
is.
okay.
It's like Kodak, the long one, with the
Yeah.
rectangle flash,
Mhm.
and you had to crank it on the side, and that's like the earliest freaking memory of the camera that I had, and I love taking pictures, and I used to love just the negatives. I used to love negatives, but I never thought of it as art. I related that with a photographer that was in the town that I used to grow up, that I grew up in Ecuador, and but I never thought, I'm going to be a photographer. I thought of it probably for a little. Oh God, I got scared. For a little bit, the dogs are in the bag. Uh, they're probably my neighbor's probably walking the dogs. Oh, I'm sorry about that. um,
We don't hear it. Don't worry about it.
you can't hear it.
No, no.
Oh, that's fantastic. So anyway, so so that was like my earliest memories that I link back to when I said, okay, you know what, that is an opportunity. And then when I was studying fine art, and then I took the first the photography class, I said, with Terry, I don't know, something clicked. I He made it seem so serious, and he was a photographer. He made a living, of it, and whatever the path was going to be, whether he was educating actually doing commercial or just fine art. Uh, I saw myself doing it, so I right away clicked with the analog just aspect photography. It was just having the encounter with the chemicals coming from drawing and paint and loving to paint and just getting dirty with my hands with the oil paints or the pastels that I used to draw a lot with. I don't know, just having seeing that part of the photography was like, oh my god, this is I was painting, I was going into the dark room and literally creating these tools to shape
The dodging and burning tools, yeah.
the dodging, the burning, and then trying to make sure that you don't burn the other parts, and you're like at a certain, so you're literally painting with light. So it
Well,
was
I
like,
believe, yeah,
yeah,
that's what
it's painting.
photography actually
This
means,
is
yeah.
painting. This is this is painting. So to me, it was art.
So
So
I guess I
that's
was
how.
gonna say that kind of answers your other questions. I was gonna ask. I mean, what else are we interested in besides photography? It sounds like you definitely enjoy painting and just working with your hands, in
Definitely,
many mediums of art.
I love
Well, what about
art.
you, Lewis? So, what other things are you interested in besides photography? And I guess the Mets, since we can see your hat. So,
Yeah, definitely a big Mets fan, but I think because of the pandemic, um, I think I think during that time, that year and a half, 2 years, I think we all kind of, you know, found out different things or tried to learn different things about ourselves, or maybe tried a new hobby. And I think for me, it was like I really got into coffee.
yes. Well,
And
travel too. Remember, travel is one of the big things that I think actually we all got the bug after, the study abroad trip in 2012.
well, travel for me is definitely, it goes hand in hand with photography,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter anywhere I go. I bring my camera, and I try to kind of document my travels, and so that's definitely 100% part of it. But I mean, as far as hobbies, yeah, it's like I got into like kind of like the whole coffee, making espressos and making lattes, and so I got really hooked on it. And I think for the last couple of years I've been kind of honing my skills on that side. But
So that
that's
being said, yeah, I'm guessing you do use a French press at home then, right? I'm guessing, or do you do instant?
No, I have an espresso machine.
Oh, fancy, even
Oh.
fancier than me. I threw
Yeah.
my French press out because I guess the
Did you take
convenience.
the class? Did you take the class? The
No, the
barista.
classes is all YouTube. I mean, honestly,
Oh, okay, all right. But do you
Dude,
know how to make
honestly,
maybe check out
do you
Groupon or
know how
something.
to
I'm sure
make a
they might have some,
cappuccino? Did you
good
so
make
tips
me a
there.
eventually, yes, eventually, we'll be doing podcasts
Did you
with
make me a cappuccino last time I was there?
I did, but I wasn't. That was just the beginning. I was kind of like really getting into it. So now I can make you an excellent latte. So
Hey, speaking of
It's a
coffee,
cappuccino.
I was gonna say, speaking of coffee, I'm sure
don't
you guys know
confuse
also,
my.
or you guys may remember that you can actually develop film with coffee, if you remember that.
yes, that's a alternative process.
Oh, is it? I thought we could do regular black and white, but that'll be interesting. I mean, we should definitely try that because I've heard that we can do it. I've never done it myself. So, have you guys done it?
Not with coffee, but stuff like cyanotypes and what is it, gum bichromate and stuff like that. I think part of what we can do is projects, and I think we're going to have some projects in this podcast. I think that we can kind of uh experiment with those processes as well, and we can kind of show some work.
Talking about alternative processes. You said what, gum bichromate, and then I think you got cut off right
Oh
away.
yeah, no, I think we could we could do episodes where
Dude,
we
that should be secretary keeping time, man. Holy shit, how I remember this stuff.
yeah, I think this podcast is gonna be, we're gonna challenge ourselves, and we're gonna do projects, and we can try different methods of alternative processes. And if we want to draw, we want to paint, whatever we want to do, I think that's gonna be part of the podcast. So yeah, I'm down to like try different forms of printing and photographing and everything else.
Let's see where this takes us.
So
It's gonna be a lot of
that
fun. I think we're gonna be talking about a lot of things. We have a lot of things. Obviously, just in the photography
Realm.
realm.
so that being said too, how often are you guys actually still shooting right now? I mean, Lewis, you said you do it professionally, or you're actually a photographer, so you actually shoot for a living. So I
Well,
guess for you that's daily, right? So
yeah. I'm not shooting all the time what I'd love to shoot, but I'm kind of like, you know, having to shoot for for in order to live.
well, that being said, I mean, the people you work for, they don't have a gear pool, right? You have to use your own stuff or what?
No, you bring your own gear. Yeah, you have
So
your
with
own.
that being said, how much wear or what do you think your shutter count is on your cameras? Well, actually, before we even talk about that, what is your
I
current gear setup? What are you shooting with?
I've been shooting with Sony for like 10 years almost.
Damn, it's been
It,
that long already? Holy crap.
yeah, 2015. I bought my first what was it?
A7
Sony
or A7R?
I had an A7S. Actually, it was my first
Yeah, the 12 megapixels. Yeah.
yeah, which was geared for video, but it was such a low light a monster that that's
It,
what I wanted to
it's
get.
funny you mention that because at that time I had an A7R and an A7S. I never had the regular A7. Now I have a regular A7. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah. So yeah, once I started shooting with Sony, I just got hooked on the digital
Yeah,
mirror, the whole thing, and it just blew up. And Nikon and Canon they fell back for a while. Then Canon caught up, and I think Nikon caught up at the same time, but it took them a while. So I was just kind of shooting with Sony. I invested in Sony lenses, and that's what I've been shooting for the past 10 years. And
So what
my
camera
shutter
bodies are you using right
counts,
now?
my shutter counts aren't crazy.
Louis.
I try to upgrade at least one or every 1 or 2 years. So I don't, I'm not sitting on like
You know
older.
what's interesting, Louis, that we were talking about, at the beginning of the show, or like previous to the show, or like previous to do this. And Johnny was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, I don't know, I don't like. And right now, he's just killing it. He's literally like he has been leading the entire freaking show, and which is
Well,
fantastic, and it's really great. And this is what it's all about. And Johnny,
Right.
it's really starts. You just don't realize. You just start going about it, and you know so much about these things, and that you say, no, I don't. I just know what I like. Well, that's it, and
I guess I like too
I
much
mean,
stuff to
I'm not
know.
gonna talk about. I mean, I'm gonna talk about the stuff that I don't like as well, but not just that. Like the stuff that I like brings other stuff. So this is fantastic to see us, getting together and having a fantastic conversation on photography, on tech. Seeing it from the technical aspect. Analyzing it. Like and then also just seeing it from the a professional aspect, as friends, and from our different perspectives of this. Anyway, sorry I cut you guys off. I know you
Nah.
guys going on a lot of this, but it's interesting how we are, and this is kind of how we're gonna connect on the show. This is we're really little, as you can see, Johnny at home. We're at home. Luis is at
Right.
his new, at
Home
his
base.
current home, home base right now.
My
Soon
mobile
we're
home.
gonna be together. We're probably gonna be shooting this together in one studio, one room. At the same time, we're gonna be together, smacking each other. I think this might be the safest way, but whatever. It is what it is. We're not gonna throw anything at each other. But
Yeah,
this is fantastic. I'm glad, guys, we're doing this, and yeah, let's go on and I love when we start also when we get to like just the yeah,
I think it's
analyzing the
cool. I think it's cool
images.
because we've been friends for a long time, and we just when we get together, we talk about. We definitely talk. I mean, with Johnny, it's hard to not talk about photography, but we talk about a million different topics that's not photography.
Right.
Um, and that's kind of how we've always, it's been our friendship, obviously our lives and everything that happens to us. But it's cool to get together and just kind of focus on photography and just kind of not just photography, but just art and, just kind of have a simple conversation and kind of learn a few things, learn a few
But
things.
sorry to interrupt again, Louis. Do you think it can be as well a way of I just thought of this of accountability. Maybe just having accountability on. We're gonna have to be responsible for not just talking about it. I mean, we can just sit here and talk, but we're gonna have to do some homework on creating work,
Well, I
on
guess that does
doing
kind of lead into the
some.
question on how frequently we actually shoot. Because like I said, Lewis shoots frequently professionally. You and I guess, are more slacking because we actually have,
Yeah.
I guess,
Well,
regular nine to
Yeah, but
fives.
investigating.
So.
Not really. If you think about it, you're even if he's just looking at things, it's you're always researching.
Yeah, on how to
So
empty my
let's
wallet on
call it
eBay. That's
that
about
part
it.
research and development.
well, this as well is kind of a what's the word? It's kind of a reason to actually go out there and I think we should set ourselves different projects. We may not, we may give ourselves a couple of weeks or a month, and then from time to time we'll just show that work.
Well, it's funny
And
that you're talking about giving ourselves projects because, as we discussed earlier, part of getting on air is that how most photographers, including I'm guessing you guys, are more conceptually based. As for me, I'm more gear driven. So versus you having an idea and you got to figure out what tools to use to get achieve said results. For me, is oh hey, I got this tool. What can I do with it? And what's my experience with it more than actually an end result in mind. So it's kind of interesting. Now I got to start shooting like you guys because I don't shoot theme based. So that's
yeah,
interesting.
we have a visit. We have two visitors.
Oh my God, she's trying to climb, and I don't know how I'm gonna do this because they're too big.
But that being
Like
said,
Let's go.
I was just going to ask because
Go ahead,
Lewis, you never
Tom.
actually answered our question. So, what gear are you actually using right now for your work and I guess your personal stuff? Which particular
you
A7,
better answer.
which
No, I
particular
mean,
A7,
so
and what lenses are you actually using right now, and what lighting equipment? Since I know you're the big lighting guy, not me. So,
yeah, Sony A7R5. I've been, the 2470 2.8 G Master, um 70 to 200 2.8 G Master. I've had the original ones. I know the Mark IIs are out now, but I'll probably slowly transition into those. But I think personally, I'm more into the prime lenses now, just because of the image quality. They're just, for me, they're just so much better optically, higher quality.
well, I'm
It's a
just kind
very
of curious though. Now that we're talking about that, because you said how you may want to consider transitioning to the Mark IIs, but given the results that you're producing, or for the I guess clients that you have, is it really necessary to get the Mark IIs, or I mean, the Mark One should be more than sufficient for what you're doing, right?
I don't
So,
think the client. I don't think there's a huge difference optically. I think when it comes to those things, I think the biggest thing with the Mark IIs is that Sony has made them lighter. So something like a 70 to 200 does not, it's drastically much lighter than the original one. So it's not so much for the client, it's more for, like,
for yourself, I guess, for the, not breaking your back. Yeah, that makes sense.
exactly. So for that reason alone, I think it helps. I've shot with the Mark II, the 7200 Mark II, I've a couple of times, and it's just a big drastic difference. But for the most part, yeah, prime lenses, the 85-1.8, the 24-1.4. 24-1.4 is a great lens for video and for stills. So I have those. I have a Sigma 105 1.4, which is an incredible lens, but that thing, it weighs like 20 pounds. But it's still one of those lenses that you get a very unique look. So I like using that lens for specific portraits.
Does that lens go with you often when you actually go work too,
No, that's more if, like, I'm
for
shooting
personal
something
projects?
personal, but also, if it's like a headshot, or
What do you mean personal? What do you mean like personal?
personal, just my own personal, whether it's like maybe I'm shooting a family or a friend or something like that. But if I'm
But you're still talking about portraits, right?
Yes, it's all
Yeah.
portraits. But for a wedding, it's just way too heavy. It's just too much, and it's just very hard to
What
carry
about
something.
lights? What kind of light to use?
Mostly pro photo.
Which
Uh,
model?
Profoto B10s. They just literally came out with the newer versions of the B10s. I've shot with the D1s, the studio ones. Um, I have a lot of Profoto friends, so they'll get mad at me
That
because
helps.
I shot with Godox as well. But yeah, I have shot with Godox, and they're good for what they are. They do the job. But I mean, Profoto really is considered the top of the line quality flashes, strobes, and I think for major like big events and stuff like that, they're more reliable, and you can kind of
Any
you can rely
product
on them.
photography at all, or
Say that
just
again.
any product photography, or just portraits mainly? Because I know you are,
Portrait-
that's your thing, the portraits. It's, you're
Yeah,
you're a
portraits,
portrait photographer.
documentary. I like photojournalism. I'm a big fan of photojournalism.
Yes, definitely. Your work is fantastic in photojournalism.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't, if people ask me what kind of photographer are you, I mean, I think I'm just shooting a little bit of everything. And I think if you look at my work, it's gonna jump around. Because I don't think I've ever been specific to one type of photography, but I'm always open to learn different things. So I feel like yeah, that's me. I mean, there's I love going out to like, a beautiful I'm here out west right now. But you can go to like amazing national parks and just shoot these beautiful landscapes here.
Right.
So from landscapes to headshots to portraits to travel to stuff like that. It's I'm a fan. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Johnny,
Well, I was going to ask you, Sebastian, what do you shoot? Or what do you like to shoot?
it's,
Well, yeah, besides space, I see
all
you're
I
staring
have.
into
I
space.
only have two cameras. They're right up there.
Well, we
I
don't see
have
anything
the
because you have the fancy background.
The
So,
Sony, the E7, right? And the what was it, Johnny? The other one they have, the Minolta.
dude, nobody can see because you're in space right now. So I
Ah,
have no
but I
idea.
had it before. Oh, it was blur anyway. I'm not gonna change the background because I think it's fantastic how I have the cosmic background in there.
Uh,
We're gonna talk about a lot of
uh,
how meditation connects to all this photography.
That's cool. Hey, if you want to bring in, that aspect of your life into the podcast, like I said, Johnny's big into motorcycles as well. So as much knowledge as Johnny has on photography, he has knowledge on motorcycles and pens as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's another lifetime ago. I don't can't afford to dabble in that no more. So,
Okay, but you got your Mont Blancs as well. You got
yeah,
your Leicas, your Mont Blancs, and your Triumphs.
you can't go
That
wrong with
is
Triumph.
true. That is true. We'll talk about the Bitcoin then. That'll be a segment. No, no, I won't.
There'll be a ticker there with the
When the time is right, we'll talk about tokenization. Let's not say Bitcoin, but let's talk about tokenization in photography. Business probably in terms of business and all of that, and what it is nowadays. Technology, and it goes hand in hand. So, not really. I'm a big Bitcoin fan, obviously, but we're not gonna mix that. But we'll definitely talk about like the technology behind it, like the blockchain and all that, and how that's gonna affect, just how you interact with, in commerce, either commerce, your work as an artist,
Well, speaking of,
how
I
to
guess,
sell the work,
well, I
and
was gonna
how
say,
to
speaking of
fractionalize your work.
speaking of technology and income, or I guess more spending money than anything. Is there any dream piece of gear you have in mind? Something that you really want to get?
Any
You know,
dream? Any
yeah,
what?
a dream piece of equipment, or another camera or a lens or something that you want, or lighting equipment. Like
Yeah,
what's on your list?
a medium format digital, digital. No, like a large format digital back
Well, I don't think
camera.
that exists just yet, but
Um, 4x5.
Large format
There is
digital.
4x5, right? 4x5
not for digital. No, they have larger
digital
medium
backs.
formats. Yeah, the digital backs are only medium right now. I don't think they've gone up to
Yeah,
large format yet.
I would say just a mix of like a view camera with a
With
digital
digital.
back. Both because you can use it both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you, Lewis, what about you? Any particular next piece of gear you really, really want to get to add to your collection or anything, or to add to your arsenal?
Honestly, I want to get a truck. I want to get a freaking big ass truck.
To get a box truck and make a camera with gear out of
Yeah,
it?
making a camera, freaking a mobile camera. It's been my dream forever. It's been like it's been one of those dreams.
And Lewis, what
Um,
about you?
for me, I don't know. I mean, I've been looking at the new Fuji F100. Um, that's such a
The
big
six or the five?
sorry,
The X100 five or six or V or I guess VI, I guess.
F100V, yeah,
Oh,
or
the
the
fifth one?
six. I don't know what the newest one is, but I'd like to. I would love to own that. It is kind of hard to get one now because that camera blew up on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, I think they're going for like $2,000 now, which is ridiculous. They used to only
It's
be
just
like what,
hard
1,200
to
bucks.
it's just hard to keep in stock. So but I think that would be a nice camera to just kind of have to walk around and do street photography and stuff like that.
But why that camera over, say, like the Sony full frame point and shoots, which you can get a lot cheaper now? Well, at least the first what is it,
Size,
RX1R versus
size,
the RX1R2.
a size.
But it's not that big. Have you had a chance to look at it? The RX1R2, that's the one I've been wanting. It's like what this similar to the what is it? I think the A7R3
Oh, you're
But what do you
sensor.
talking
mean
And
by
about
size? It's or the weight? The size or
no.
the
I mean, no. I just mean like if you're talking about an A7, like an A7R or whatever, those cameras are too big and the lenses are too big. It's not going to be.
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The RX1R. Remember that full frame camera that they came
Yeah,
out with?
but
Yeah, I really want one of
I
those.
think the thing with the Fuji is that it has that
Oh, the look
analog.
for sure. Yeah, I like the looks.
It has the
Look,
looks, but it also has that analog feel, and
yeah.
it's ergonomically, aesthetically is it's a very nice camera, but it's also very compact. So for street photography, which is something else that I enjoy doing, I think that would be an ideal camera. But
So,
other
would you want in
than that,
black or
I don't.
silver?
I'll probably go with the black one.
Yeah, the black.
Yeah, I like the black one. But other than that, I mean, I don't have anything else specifically that I'm looking for. Always would be great to have a large format. We all went to when we were in school, we went to a trip to Chile, and we all had the opportunity to shoot with a 4x5. And it's such an amazing experience to kind of just take one photograph because everything just kind of stops and you think about every single step. um
you're very immersed in the image. Even
That's
if
funny
it's
because
just one
when
image, you
yeah,
have
when we
to
went
be
to study
so.
abroad, you guys took a large format class, right? Because I know you both had a what is it, a metal Toyo, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, we were shooting with
Yeah, you
Toy.
guys. I was taking I think photojournalism workshop, so I didn't have a chance to use the large
I
format because I
actually
wasn't
thought
in my.
everyone. I thought everyone was shooting with a large format, but now I can't remember. But
Nah, yeah. I wasn't. Yeah, because I was doing workshop and photojournalism. I
I
think.
believe I had 35 millimeter medium format and large format. I went with like I was a nut. That was crazy.
yeah,
I took too much equipment.
Oh,
but
dude,
yeah,
you took too much, man. I freaking brought the whole kitchen sink, I think, on that trip.
Yes, yeah, Johnny
that
did
was
bring a
that
lot.
was definitely an awesome trip. I mean, we spent a month in Patagonia, and that was like an experience of a lifetime. And just the fact that we went to like actually do photo projects with large format cameras was absolutely incredible. So I think, in the future episodes, maybe we can, show some of that work. That was part of Sebastian's naked picture
Oh yeah.
project. So
We all had our projects, right? And I
yeah,
wonder
and that
where that
that
where
that was
that work is
definitely
right now. Yeah.
it's been that was a long time ago, but excuse me. I feel like that's kind of something we can kind of show the audience as well. But yeah, it was fun, and shooting with large format cameras. I'd love, the Shenhaus were amazing. I used to talk to Johnny about buying a Shenhao when they were like $700, $800, $600, and those things blew up to like, I haven't looked at them in years, but I'm sure they're like in the 1500s, if not more.
Yeah, probably roughly. I don't even know. I honestly don't follow it. But I mean, again, another good option is the Intrepid cameras. I mean, you can get them for pretty inexpensive. So
Those are the
What
cameras,
do you got
right?
up there, Sebastian? What do you
What's
got up
that?
there? Bring it in, bring it over.
Oh no, I'm gonna get up. Oh, let's see. Oh gosh, we have a step. No, huh? And I have this and that. You get a. This is the actually Louis. I still owe you like $600 on this. This is the
I
Sony.
haven't forgotten. So that's the A7R3, right? R3.
Yeah.
no, it's a
Uh,
regular A7 III, isn't it? It's not the R3. It's just A7 III.
Hey,
no,
It's an R
I
model. I don't see any
no,
R
I
designations on
no,
it.
it's the R. It's the R3, right?
Don't look like it.
It's the R3, I think.
here it is.
It's
And this
R3.
is the Actually, this is on.
No, yeah, the story how I got that camera was great. I bought an enlarger in Long Island on Craigslist, and got the enlarger, easel that's now worth like $500. That camera, paper, chemicals, film. So yeah, that was probably one of the best $100 or $125 I spent.
Oh, that Minolta he has was yours.
Yeah, I gave that to him because I have no use for it. So
What
yeah, I
is it?
came
A
with it.
Minolta?
All right. Anyway, guys, it's been a fantastic evening or day. I don't know. It looks like you're. Is it still early outside?
Well,
For
he's
me?
only 7 o'clock now, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. It looks. I'm like, good evening, guys, and it's like I see. I look at Louis, and Louis is like, yeah, good evening to you. Like I'm ready to start the day. Well, whatever. Good evening, good
Breakfast.
day, good afternoon to anyone. It's been a fantastic conversation with you guys. I think we got together and I'm loving the energy, loving the vibe of how this is, going. How we're talking about all the topics that we kind of plan. Um, we have a lot more to go over. Definitely, our ideas are going to be, blooming within the show and within each episode and as we go along. So hopefully, I don't know what your take is on this, Luis and Johnny, and it's been fantastic, um, having a great conversation with you guys about photography live, our friendship.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I mean, this is just the first episode. It's the first time we're actually doing this. It's may not be the most aesthetically pleasing at the moment, but eventually we'll have our own space, and it'll be a little bit more professional. And at the same time, like Sebastian just said, we're going to bring a lot to the table. I mean, we all have different experiences with photography and art, and I think that it's going to be fun. We're going to give each other projects to shoot, and we'll show some of that work. And we're also going to have guests. We have a lot of friends that are photographers, artists, and they have a lot to bring to the table as well. So it's
Hopefully,
I
we
would
can
say,
convince them to come and talk to us. I think we
oh,
have a good chance.
100%. I don't
Yeah,
see how they can reject these three right here.
it's nuts.
So
This is crazy nuts.
Well,
I
that
think
being
Yes,
said, too, before we all sign off, I just want to ask, where can people actually find, our work? I mean, I'm not really on Instagram much. I don't know about you, Sebastian. What about you, Lewis? I mean, I know you have a
I don't
website.
have
What
work out
website
there.
is
I
it?
think I believe the only one right now out there is
Is Lewis? Yeah.
Louis. But
So
yeah.
yeah, Lewis. So where can we find your work? What
And
platforms are
wait,
you
wait.
on?
Before you go, the work and what are we doing so we can start seeing? We're probably gonna go on live on July 4th, right? We're gonna talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up after. I guess Lewis throws in his promo. So yeah, Lewis. Where can we find your work right now online?
so you can go to my website www.louis-aguirre.com. So you'll see some of my personal work, some of the stuff that I've done in the past 15 years. A lot of it is travel photography. So yeah, so my website is definitely, I always tell people, kind of go to my website. Is going to be the easiest and the easiest way to like kind of see the images clear, So that, yeah, my website, and we'll put that on the screen as well.
Fantastic. It's free in the the whatever the information box where they have it. We'll put the link on
Put a link.
of your website, and we're gonna be doing this show together. And again, it's gonna be in the same room. We're gonna be able to give you guys a lot more. But we wanted to start like this because we are starting. We're going. We're moving ahead. There is something coming up in town for the local people. We're we are at least I leave, and now Luis is going to be coming in for the summer to visit, or perhaps if I convince him to stay. Yeah, and so Greenwood Lake is going to have a professional, what is it, headshots for the 4th of July at Karen's Cafe on Windermere Avenue in Greenwood Lake, New York. Yeah, so that's that. It's been,
Yeah, that's the perfect opportunity to update your Indeed profile photo, or I guess Tinder, or whatever floats your
yeah,
boat.
yeah,
So,
yeah, sure,
so
man.
there you go. So, I guess it's good for everybody, right?
Yep.
3 headshots and naked pictures.
All right, guys. I think this is it. It's about to choop, choop. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in for our pilot episode. Hopefully, the future ones will be a little bit more polished. This is the JSL podcast, or Just Shoot and Learn, with your hosts Johnny, Sebastian, Lewis. So hopefully, we'll see you another night. Have a good night, everyone.